Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, where we tap into the world of leftist insanity every single day. I have to admit I'm in complete shock. The decision relating to the disqualification of Fani Willis has officially been released by Judge McAfee, and he's decided that the best course of action is for Fani Willis to actually remain on the case. It's hard to make predictions in this game, folks. I thought for sure that she was going to get removed, but obviously not everything always goes according to plan. So finally, in the end, it seems as though Fani Willis will remain on the case. The question is, I think what most people are asking is, what does this mean moving forward? Well, as per usual, let's try to get to the bottom of it. Of course, left-wing partisans on Twitter are claiming this is a massive win. Is it really? I'm not so sure. Let's take a look. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so the decision is in. Judge McAfee rules on disqualification of Fulton County DA Willis from Trump case. Judge Scott McAfee ruled that Willis is not disqualified and will remain on the Trump case. The judge decided that Willis and Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade's once romantic relationship created an appearance of conflict of interest in the racketeering case. As a result, the prosecutors were prohibited from overseeing the case going forward until Willis or Wade resigned. The established record now highlights a significant appearance of impropriety that infects the current structure of the prosecution team, an appearance that must be removed through the state's selection of one of two options. The defendant's motions are therefore granted in part, McAfee wrote in his 23-page ruling. Now, in a way, I kind of understand the decision. It seems like Judge McAfee wants to take the most moderate approach possible. And by moderate, what I really mean is cowardly. Typical, I'm gonna land in the middle and be as inoffensive as possible, in other words, milquetoast. You know, it just kind of is what it is. I'm not furious with Judge McAfee. I disagree with him. I think his decision was the wrong decision, but in a way, I understand it. A lot of people have this sort of temperament. He wants to seem as impartial as possible. Or maybe he's just intimidated by the Democrat mob, too scared to do the right thing, mainly because he doesn't want to deal with these people. And so in the end, he gave them what they wanted. Leftoids got their headline. But the story doesn't exactly end there. Fani Willis stays on the case. Oh yeah, slay queen. Fani Willis is gonna take down the orange man. You know, that's what we're hearing. Or at least that's the Democrat narrative that they're attempting to set up. But the reality of this decision feels a little bit different. I think CNN's legal analyst, Eli Honig, did a great job in his analysis.
This is what I'm reading in the language. The prosecution of this case cannot proceed until the state selects one of two options. So very clear there. He's saying you cannot go forward unless what?
One of you has to go. Either the DA and with her the entire office or Nathan Wade. This will be the easiest decision the DA's office has ever had to make. Obviously, Nathan Wade will go. And the judge in his ruling says essentially this is necessary to preserve public confidence in this case. He says there's enough of an appearance. There's enough of, as he says at one point, an odor of mendacity around this case, interesting phrase, that something's got to be done to at least clean up the public perception.
Smells.
Yes, of mendacity, whatever that smells like.
But seriously, but this gets what you're talking about. This whole thing was so messy, and that's what Michael Moore was saying. And this could have been nipped in the bud.
Right, again, it's really important to underscore here. The big takeaway, Fani Willis stays on the case. The DA's office keeps the case can carry on. That is far and away the bold headline. They have survived, but not without substantial damage. I mean, there is some really stark language in this ruling. The judge calls out the DA's, quote, tremendous lack in judgment, the odor of mendacity. He says that the public speech she made in the church was, quote, legally improper. And the judge even says in the ruling, it may be time for a gag order on the DA, because she keeps on making improper public statements. He leaves it out there. He doesn't say I'm issuing one, but he raises the possibility of a gag order on the DA. I mean, look, there's gag orders on Donald Trump, because we collectively fear that he may be tainting the jury pool, and now the judge floats the same possibility. So the DA's office has survived. The case survives. It will roll on. At what pace, we'll see, but there's some damage done here.
The headlines are going to read that the case continues, Fani stays on, the Fulton County DA's office will continue its witch hunt, which of course is Democrats celebrating, but if you actually read the decision or if you listen to the words that came out of the judge's mouth, well, it's very clear that even though this case is continuing, it is tainted.
Several of the motions to quash today are arguing that we shouldn't have a evidentiary hearing at all, and that quashal is appropriate on those grounds. So to that end, in studying the law that's been filed up to this point, I think it's clear that disqualification can occur if evidence is produced demonstrating an actual conflict or the appearance of one. And the filings submitted on this issue so far have presented a conflict in the evidence that can't be resolved as a matter of law. Specifically looking at defendant Roman's motion, it alleges a personal relationship that resulted in a financial benefit to the district attorney, and that is no longer a matter of complete speculation. The state has admitted a relationship existed. The testimony that would be produced at this hearing is not a deposition. It is still subject to the rules of evidence. And so I think the facts that are going to be developed on the record have to have some relevance and some materiality. Now, contradictions or how things play out could impact that, could change what is relevant. But at the outset, there are a few things that I don't think are. So to that end, I don't think the particulars of Mr. Wade's experience are relevant. I don't think those are material for an evidentiary hearing. His alleged lack of experience handling RICO cases or any inferences regarding the intent from that can be addressed at argument. But in my mind, as long as a lawyer has a heartbeat and a bar card, that lawyer's appointment standing alone is a matter within the district attorney's discretion.
This case is absolutely tainted, and Fani Willis, well, she's the stain. The judge offered two options. Either Fani and her entire office essentially dissolve, or Nathan Wade resigns. Well, obviously Nathan Wade resigned. Here's Nathan Wade's resignation letter. Blah, 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 blah. I'm a corrupt Democrat, yada, yada, yada. I was exposed for being a corrupt DNC goon, and now I resign. We get it. Go away, Nathan, and please never come back. Then, of course, the Fulton County DA's office, Fani Willis, responds with this letter, blah, blah, frickin' blah, essentially accepting Nathan Wade's resignation. And so I guess all that remains now is Fani. But Fani is the stain. Fani's the person who's really at fault here. It's not Nathan Wade. Nathan's the poor brother who got dragged into this whole thing, in a way. The real corrupt actor is Fani Willis herself, and the people understand this. You know, I think the general perception is probably more along the lines of how Alan Dershowitz is feeling.
That she conspired to commit perjury with Nathan Wade and with the other witness. Who are you going to believe, this judge or your lying eyes? We all know there was an actual conflict of interest here. He just doesn't have the guts to say it. And I predicted he wouldn't have the guts to say it. He has to live in Fulton County. Now, he may have said some things that are very critical of her, but still, he should have removed her from the case. There is an actual conflict of interest. She made money from this case. The
conflict of interest was clear. You know, it's hard to prove the impossible. It's hard to prove intent. You can't exactly get into Fani Willis's head and extract a piece of memory data that proves that she purposely acted unethically. You know, maybe there wasn't enough for Judge McAfee to remove her, but I think in terms of public perception, Fani Willis is, well, pretty well pegged at this point as a dishonest, corrupt DNC goon. And the idea that she's simply off the hook, that the case is going to continue and now Trump's going to prison, it just isn't happening. Fani Willis and Nathan Wade are likely to be dealing with some serious legal and ethical problems moving forward. In fact, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp recently signed a bill that could spell trouble for little Fani.
Well, before the weekends, we should have a decision on whether Fani Willis will be kicked off the election interference case involving former President Donald Trump. Willis, of course, is a district attorney, and she is facing allegations that she misused taxpayer funds and crossed ethical boundaries during her romantic relationship with special prosecutor Nathan Wade. Now, as we wait, which again is between today and tomorrow, Governor Brian Kemp has already signed a new bill into law. It's aimed at overseeing and disciplining local elected district attorneys. Senate Bill 332 attempts to implement rules and procedures for the prosecuting attorneys Qualifications Commission.
Governor Kemp just signed a DA oversight bill, the timing of which is just a total mystery to me. I don't know why they would be pursuing such legislation at this time. No, it's obvious. They're passing this bill in order to stop a Fani Willis situation from ever happening again. The narrative is that this is a big bombshell story that changes everything. I'll tell you one thing, it changes absolutely nothing. Even before this whole Fani Willis-Nathan Wade saga started, Fani Willis was on the record confirming that it would be very unlikely that they'd be able to try Donald Trump before Election Day. Well, now, of course, with all of these added delays, that pushes a potential trial date further and further. In other words, they will not be able to accomplish their election interference goal ahead of voting day. Fani Willis might not have been disqualified, but I'm willing to predict that this is probably the end of her career. There's no coming back from this. The judge confirmed that she lied under oath, that both parties acted totally inappropriately, and obviously Fani Willis knew this, considering, well, she ran on promises that she would never do exactly what she did. She obviously knew that what she was doing was wrong. The public knows that they they embezzled taxpayer funds to enrich themselves and that they violated ethical codes. Lying under oath, violating codes, and embezzlement of funds, you don't get to come back from that, especially not in a high-profile case like this. The Georgia election interference case will crumble. In my view, it already has crumbled. Disqualified or not, the circumstances here remain completely unchanged. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.